Thank you, Arthur, and it's a real privilege to be here. I noted that at about this time yesterday, Governor, you were on The View being questioned by Joy Behar. So hopefully we can elevate things a bit. It's a low bar.
Quite the experience, I will tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a privilege to be here in part because it's just a wonderful book. And Arthur touched on your personal story. I brought with me two of my daughters today because I think it's so important for all of us to be able to spend time with strong, competent leaders. And because I think that your experience really puts the lie in many ways to the notion that there's a Republican war on women somehow. But I want to start with a story you tell in the book about your runoff and then the general election when you were running for governor. And you talk about one of your opponents, Attorney General McMaster, and the extent to which when your battle was over with him in the early stages of the primary, you called him up and told him you admired his fight, which was a phrase I love. But what I really liked was how he then began introducing you at your campaign events. And you describe it in the book. You say, Henry would introduce me as if I were headlining Lollapalooza. As the poet, this is a quote, as the poet Tom Petty says, he would say, with his voice rising to a dramatic pitch, you can stand her up at the gates of hell and she won't back down. And I thought you could start today by talking a little bit about where your spirit to fight comes from and your spirit to stand up and do what's right.
Everything good about me I got from my parents. Everything negative about me just came from other places. But I will tell you, you know, I started every speech and I continue to say I'm the proud daughter of Indian parents that reminded us every day how blessed we were to live in this country. I was born in a small southern town, 2,500 people. My parents came here, my father with a turban, my mom in a sari. That small southern town didn't know what to make of us, and we didn't know what to make of them. But what I will tell you is this is the story of a lot of challenges. Challenges of being a minority family in a small southern town. Challenges of being different and knowing you're different, but knowing your parents tell you to be proud of why you're different. Challenges in the corporate world, challenges in the state house race, challenges in the governor's race, and challenges as we go forward. But what I always knew was my parents always wanted us to understand that what makes you different makes you special. And also the fact that this small southern town, while we went through those challenges, is part of the same state that elected a 38-year-old Indian American female for governor. What does that say about South Carolina? What does that say about this country? How far have we come? And that's really the story behind this, is we all go through challenges. It's not the challenges that define you, it's how you handle those challenges. And now I realize all of those challenges were blessings. Every one of them was a blessing in disguise, because now I know I have the strength, I know I don't back down, because every time you go through a challenge, you're amazed at what you can overcome.
Well, and in addition to those lessons from your parents, and one of the things you talk about is your parents telling you don't complain about problems, you figure out a way to solve them. You've got another great story, which as the mother of a 12-year-old, I particularly love. Your mom had started a small business in the living room of your home, and the accountant was leaving. And the story that you tell is that you happened to be strolling out of your kitchen, 12-year-old Nikki Haley, and your mother grabbed you and said to the accountant, train her how to do this. And so I don't think many people know, I didn't know until I read your book, that at the age of 12 and 13, you were the accountant for your mom's business, keeping the taxes and
the business
books.
Had grown out of the house, and it was actually now into what was about 3,500 square foot store. They were doing very well at the time, and the bookkeeper was moving on somewhere else, and she said, Raj, I've got to train someone. You know, I'm going to be leaving in 2 weeks, and I happened to be walking out of the break room, and my mom grabbed my arm and said, I want you to train her. And she said, I can't train her. She's 13. And she said, if you train her, she will do it. And so I was doing payrolls. I was doing taxes. I was doing the general ledger. I was paying bills, making deposits. I didn't know until I got to college that wasn't normal. But I tell people that was my parents' way of saying, now I look back and I realize they didn't want me to know the limitations of age. They didn't want me to know the limitations of gender, and they didn't want me to know the limitations of being Indian. They just always said, whatever you do, be great at it and make sure that people remember you for it. So, but it was at that point that I shaped the value of a dollar and what it means for the private sector and how it's so hard to make a dollar and it's so easy for government to take it. So the philosophies and the beliefs that I have are things I lived, not because a label told me what to believe. It's because I truly lived it and understood what the hardships of small businesses were.
If you jump ahead a little bit then to your very first political race, and I think if you go into just about any nursery school in America today, and probably around the world, you will see that the little girls are running circles around the little boys. And I say that as a proud mom of both girls and boys. But the girls are running the place. And so I have often wondered what happens. Why is it that women are not yet, anyway, running the world? And I think part of it is risk aversion. But if you look at the story of your 2004 race, the fact that you couldn't find a consultant to take your money, you had everybody telling you, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. What was it that gave you the confidence to say, I know this is the right thing to do? Was it ignorance? Did you just not know what you were getting into?
Absolute ignorance.
Yeah.
Absolute. I think it was a couple of things. I think it was the fact that I saw as a business person, I wondered why we didn't have more business people in the State House. Then I had a mom who said, quit complaining about it, do something about it. And so I said, well, I'll run for the State House. I didn't know you weren't supposed to run against a 30-year incumbent in a primary. I had no idea, but once I got in, the only option was to win. What was surprising was we went to a series of consultants, and I remember telling a friend, I have this money and no one will take my money. And one consultant said, you're too young, you've got small children, you just need to look at school boards, you don't need to run for State House. Another consultant said, Nikki, your dad goes to that temple, there's less than 1% Indian, you can't win this district. And so it was a lot of can'ts. And I'll tell you, one of the interesting things was, what really jumped me over to say I'm going to do this is I was at the Furman Institute, and actually Hillary Clinton was the guest speaker. And she was there giving a speech to a few hundred people, and she said, everybody's going to tell you why you shouldn't do it. And that's all the reasons why you should. And one, I will tell you, anybody that says I can't do something, it only motivates me more to want to do it. But I didn't see young moms running for office. I didn't see a lot of women running for office. I didn't see business people running for office. And so that really was more of the reason why I said we need more people. And the reason I wrote the book was after I won the governor's race, so many people came up to me and said, after seeing what you went through, I would never run for office. I was devastated. That was the total opposite of what I wanted them to take from my race. What I wanted them to see was, yes, we went through the challenges, but look at now what I'm able to do in South Carolina. I'm able to actually move the ball. So I don't think that there's any reason why we don't see a lot of women outside of the fact that women just don't run. They just don't run. And we need more women in office. We need more real people in office that have experienced things, more business people. I wasn't in student government. We don't need these people that just have thought all their life about being a politician. We need people who've lived their life and know the problems with government.
And you immediately, as soon as you got into the state legislature then, perhaps not immediately, you were successful in terms of moving up in the leadership, but as soon as you started insisting on transparency and how the legislators were voting, you really basically ran into a firestorm.
It was one of those at first when I got into office, no one knew what to make of me. I had defeated their friend, a 30-year incumbent, so nobody wanted to share an office with me. Nobody wanted to sit at a desk with me. There happened to be another person who had defeated the majority leader. So we were the two outsiders, and we quickly became desk mates and office mates, and it worked out well. But when I got there, I saw a lot of things that I thought were wrong. And one was, in South Carolina, legislators didn't have to show their votes on the record. All their voting was by voice vote. And I watched this bill get read across the desk, and I tell this in the book, and they said they were increasing their pensions for themselves. All in favor say aye, all opposed nay, the ayes have it, and there it was. And I went to my speaker, the Republican leadership, and I said, we are Republicans. What did we just do? I don't understand. And the next day I went and I said, I'm filing a bill that says anything important enough to be debated on the floor of the House or the Senate is important enough for legislators to know how they vote. My leadership